Everyone knows that parenting is no easy feat. New challenges crop up at different ages. From potty training to driving lessons, it seems like parents are always wrangling the next problem. As many parents quickly learn, traditional advice and self-help books don't always work when kids are getting out of control. However, one mother discovered an unusual approach to handling her teenage son that had amazing results. Although she knew her style was a little unorthodox and unlikely to be popular with others, she took a chance and posted about it online. She never expected her personal parenting approach to go instantly viral. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new story. As a single mom without the father in the picture, Estella knew how difficult raising a child could be. She was relieved when her son Aaron started becoming more independent as he got older. At 13 years old, she expected him to mature and be able to handle more responsibility. But Aaron had other ideas. The truth was that Aaron's behavior was not completely new to Estella. In fact, Estella felt that his behavior reminded her of someone else. When she was younger, before she had Aaron, Estella had been a completely different person. She didn't think about taking care of anyone else or being responsible. She liked going out to parties and spending time with her friends. Estella had gone to a party one night when another partygoer caught her eye. She introduced herself and learned that his name was Benny. She'd liked him immediately and could tell that he liked her too. He was unlike anyone she'd ever met before. After they met at the party, Estella and Benny started dating right away. She never wanted to be apart from him again. It truly felt like her dreams had come true. They had a passionate relationship that burned bright, but there was one night in particular that would change their lives forever. Estella started to feel tired all the time, but she was also staying up late and going out with Benny. It wasn't until she glanced at a calendar that she started to suspect the truth, that she was pregnant. As a couple, they'd never talked about having children. Estella waited as long as she could before she worked up the courage to finally tell Benny. He didn't need to think about it long before he said he thought she should have an abortion. Estella wasn't sure what to do or what to think. It was time to have some tough conversation. She'd have to tell her parents first. Estella's parents lived a couple of hours away. She took the trip alone. While she drove, she thought about what having an abortion would mean. She didn't feel ready to become a mother, but at the same time, she didn't feel like she could knowingly take away a life. Maybe it was meant to be. She'd have to wait and hear what her parents had to say. Would they agree with Benny? She talked to her parents at length about the pregnancy. At first, they were angry, but they said they'd support whatever she decided to do. They hadn't even met Benny yet, though Estella had spoken of him often. Finally, after thinking about all of the different angles, she made a decision that would change everything. When Estella got back home, she told Benny that she'd decided to keep the baby after all. Benny was furious about it and tried to talk her into having an abortion. When Estella wouldn't budge, Benny asked her to choose. She chose the baby. And then Benny showed his true hand. Benny told Estella that he was going to leave her because he didn't want to be a father. She'd expected him to say something like that, so she wasn't too surprised. Still, it was painful and devastating for her to lose such a big part of her support network. Benny leaving had a silver lining, though. Estella had always loved parties, but Benny leaving made her realize that she needed to change her life. If a baby was on the way, guys like Benny weren't going to stay loyal to her. She needed stability and a safe place where she could relax. Estella asked if she could move back home, and her parents were ecstatic. They knew about their daughter's somewhat wild lifestyle, so they were relieved to hear that she was doing what was best for her baby. She lived at home throughout her pregnancy. When she delivered, Aaron was in good health. Things were looking up, right? For the first few years after Aaron was born, everything seemed so smooth. Estella was able to find work, and her parents were more than happy to help in raising him. It took the edge off being a single mom because she had others around who were willing to chip in their time and energy with Aaron. Over the years, Estella had managed to get promoted and earn enough money to afford a place of their own. She rented a nearby home where they would still have her parents close to maintain their connection to Aaron. It was a huge step for Estella. She had no way of knowing that things were about to take a drastic turn for the worse. When they moved out, Aaron was about 5 years old. He was just about to start school. Estella was excited to have a little more freedom around the house, but she was also thrilled for Aaron to have reached such an amazing milestone. She hoped that he would make more friends and enjoy learning, but the move threw a wrench in things. Aaron was excited to begin school far more than Estella was to see him leave. The truth was, she loved her son very much and had quickly grown attached to having him in the house. School also meant facing the fact that he wasn't so young anymore and would soon be heading out of her nest. However, Estella could have never suspected the effect it would have on him. After moving and starting school, Estella started noticing some odd mannerisms and character changes in Aaron. He wasn't acting like his usual self. She figured it had to do with stress and tried her hardest to make him comfortable with their new surroundings. She took him to the park and played his favorite movies, but nothing seemed to work. Aaron was getting into trouble and developing a personality that shocked Estella. She tried to research online, but without knowing what the root of the problem was, there wasn't much she could find out. She asked Aaron all kinds of questions about his feelings to see if there was something bothering him, but he didn't want to talk to her. Things kept getting progressively worse. Before long, Aaron wouldn't listen to his mother at all, even when she only had basic instructions for him. Many of her rules were for his own safety, but Aaron didn't care about her reasoning. Their relationship was in shambles. Estella was especially frustrated because she felt like Aaron was deliberately trying to make her angry. He'd wake her up for no reason and move her things into ridiculous places. She wondered where he had learned such behavior, but more was yet to come. Soon, Estella started getting calls from Aaron's school about his troubling behavior. Humiliated and desperate, she sought advice from the teachers, hoping for insight. Instead, their words left her even more distressed. One teacher explained that Aaron often argued, ignored rules, and even fought with other children. They asked if something at home could be distressing him. Was there? No matter what Estella did, nothing seemed to help. Then, the administration warned her that Aaron would be suspended if his behavior didn't improve. She felt like a failure. Determined, she knew she had to find a solution. As a young single mother, Estella acknowledged her inexperience. Aaron lacked a male role model besides his grandfather. Could that be the issue? Or was it her parenting? She realized Aaron's behavior worsened after they moved into their new home. Had her parents been the ones truly keeping him in line all along? Or was something about the house bothering him? She investigated, checking the neighborhood and searching Aaron's room for clues. Nothing seemed off. He had settled in without issue. Maybe the problem was deeper. Estella wondered if being apart from his grandfather had affected Aaron more than she thought. They still spent time together, but it wasn't the same as living under the same roof. Maybe he needed that presence. Not for the first time, she cursed Benny for being so irresponsible. But her dating life was complicated. Dating as a single mom was tough. She had to arrange childcare, and many men lost interest when they learned she had a child. Others simply weren't a good match, except for one. Figuring Aaron was getting older, she decided to introduce him to someone she had been seeing, Lou. He was kind, patient, and they connected instantly. She hoped Aaron would like him. But Aaron had other ideas. The evening Lou visited, Aaron was on his worst behavior. He spilled food on the floor and refused to clean it. He harassed Lou and yelled when Estella tried to correct him. She pleaded with him to give Lou a chance, but he refused. And just like that, Lou was gone. Months passed, and nothing worked. Meditation, punishment, or even serious conversation. Estella was desperate. One day, on one of her visits to the store, Estella spotted something that promised it would soon help her navigate her issues. But would it work? And just what was this mysterious help? It was a book. A self-help book aimed at parents, focusing not on the child's behavior, but on how the parent's attitude might contribute to the issue. Seeing no other options, Estella purchased it. At first, it worked, but soon things reverted back. This pattern went on for years. Estella became more isolated, worrying about Aaron. Doctors were baffled. Babysitters quit. Even getting him to school was a battle. Before she knew it, he was a teenager. If his early years had been that difficult, what would the teenage years bring? Estella knew she had to do something. Aaron always behaved well around his grandparents, and Estella never told them about his struggles. She feared it would reflect on her as a bad mother. Before she could confess everything to her mother, a new idea struck her, one that might change everything. Estella realized that maybe her parenting needed adjusting. She had been mirroring her own parents' style, but Aaron needed a different approach. Then, an opportunity presented itself. Aaron had recently started working as a paperboy, earning some pocket money. He refused to put it in the bank, preferring to keep it in his dresser. Estella hoped this meant he was learning independence while also staying active. But it wasn't meant to be. One day, during an argument, Aaron declared he didn't need his mother anymore. He was making his own money and could do whatever he wanted. Shocked, but unsurprised, Estella knew it was time to reassert herself and take control before things spiraled further. Aaron took for granted everything Estella provided: clothes, school supplies, food, and a home. She decided it was time to make him understand the reality of independence. She sat down and started writing a letter. As she finished, she hesitated. Could she really go through with it? But then she thought about everything Aaron had done over the years. She knew this was for his own good. She decided to proceed. Estella handed Aaron a letter outlining new household rules. If he wanted to be independent, he would have to contribute financially. She listed the costs of food, utilities, transportation, and rent. She hoped this would open his eyes. Aaron was floored. He had never considered the cost of running a household. Even with his earnings, he couldn't afford half of the expenses. Would his mother really kick him out? Estella remained firm. She gave him 3 options: pay his portion, move out, or start acting like her son and show respect. Aaron hesitated, then opened his mouth. Aaron realized how much his mother had done for him. Their conversation grew heated, but eventually, he admitted he had been acting out. He felt like she was always prying into his life rather than respecting his autonomy. After a long discussion, he promised to do better. What Estella did next took him by surprise. She shared her story on social media, explaining the strategy she had used when nothing else worked. It resonated with many and quickly went viral. While some disagreed with her approach, the majority, especially fellow mothers, applauded her no-nonsense method. Not only did it strengthen her relationship with Aaron, but it also connected her with a supportive community she never knew existed.